we've got another used tool review today. Now, as I've said in previous videos that I've done, when I do a used tool review, what I'm trying to do is give everyone a bit of an idea of how good a tool or a set of tools is over a prolonged period of time. So what I try to do, unless otherwise mentioned in a video, is review something that I've been using myself for a very long period of time. It's all very well to get a tool with a lifetime warranty. That's great, but if it doesn't last for a lifetime, if you can't expect it to last for a lifetime, or you're going to have warranty claims or something, then that's probably not a whole lot of good to you. So I'm trying to review tools that I use, things that I've purchased, no money exchanged hands, no in-kind gifts of tools or anything like that. These are things that I've bought, that I've implemented in my workshop, and this is the honest truth of how I've found them to be. So what we're talking about today is another tool set. So we've spoken about my King Chrome Roll Cab and Super Tool and TTI toolkits. Today we're talking my Jimy Tools Roll Cab. Now, this roll cab was my first foray into a workshop tool set that wasn't hung on a wall. When I started out working with cars and panel beating and such, the fellow that I worked with, he was a one-man show, and he had a wall cabinet, and then pretty much what I've traditionally run, and that's a shadow board. So all your tools hung on the wall, and up until the last 5 years, I'd found that to actually be quite an adequate way of operating. Principally because I was operating out of a two-garage shed, or two-car garage, or a two-car bay shed out the back of a property, and having all my tools on a shadow board and the wall cabinet there. You walk over, you grab it. Your car or whatever you're building or whatever you're working on is never too far away from your tools. I moved, however, and then inherited what would probably be a 6-bay shed, and it's only got 3 roller doors, so it's got 3 bays that I actually use for vehicles and equipment. Now, in that circumstance, I found it a real pain to grab stuff off the wall and then walk down the other end of the shed. And I'd considered getting a roll cabinet for some time, and the catalyst for actually getting it was I was setting up a workshop at another location on the farm, and I wanted to have some tools there, and I started moving some of my tools over to where that is, and it was depleting my workshop, and I thought, well, this might be time to get a new set of tools for one of these places. And I went to a trade event, and this was for sale at the end of the trade event, and it was an absolute, I think, a great price, so I grabbed it. So it's a trade kit. It does pretty much approximate a lot of the Jimy Tools toolkits and roll cabs they've got for sale now. They may not be exactly the same, but they're pretty close. They're pretty close. And it seemed to me to have a basic set of tools that I would actually use. And unlike the previous review that I did of my King Chrome Roll Cab, where I said at the end of the review, like, the quality of the tools, I haven't broken anything apart from a 1/2-inch ratchet. They're all still there. But if would I buy that wall cabinet again? And the answer was no, I wouldn't buy it again. And the reason is there was too many superfluous tools in it. Too many tools that I just don't use. I just don't use them. So there's not really a whole lot of point in me buying that toolkit again, knowing what I do today, and that I'm paying for a heap of tools that I'm never going to use. This toolkit here has proven to be a far better base for the sort of work that I do in building out a workshop set of tools. So in getting this, was pretty much an opportunity for me to start from scratch at my home workshop, which is also my work workshop, to set it up in a way that was going to cover everything that I needed for day-to-day work on the sorts of things that I'm pulling down. So my shift to the roll cab was my first foray into roll cabs. As I said, it had all been hung on the wall prior to that. And if I'd stayed in a small shed in a 2-car garage or similar, I probably would have stuck with the shadow board and the wall cabinet. There's probably no need to jump to this. I understand the utility of it. I understand the usefulness in an environment where you've got a big shed or you're a diesel mechanic or any other type of mechanic for that matter, where you've got to drag your tools backwards and forwards. You always want them where you're on the vehicle that you're working on. Yep, I get that. You can lock it up, it's secure. Yep, I don't, in my particular circumstance, I don't think that locking the roll cab is any more secure than having stuff on a shadow board. Look, you could pick, if you had enough blokes, you could pick this up and nick it, or you could pull the tools off one at a time off the shadow board. Probably 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But in a workshop environment where your mate, 2 bays over, might come over and nick one of your tools while you're not looking, or you have the day off and you come back and a heap of things are missing. Yeah, I get that, but home sort of situation, I don't know if there's a distinct advantage there, but anyway, it may. But being able to move it across the floor is certainly an advantage in a big shed, for sure. If I was setting up a workshop in just a double car garage at my home, or in a small shed out the back, I'd probably revert back to a shadow board and wall cabinet if I could get a wall cabinet that gave me the basic tools that I wanted, or if I still had this and took it with me, I may leave it in here, but I probably would relocate all the tools to the wall and hang them up. Because the principal reason I like that is when I finish the job, put everything back together again, I can have a quick look on the shadow board, which is all labelled, or a quick look in the wall cabinet, open the doors, yep, everything's back to where it was, all's good, go home. Whereas with this, you don't really have all the drawers open at once. Unless you've got a photographic memory, you might miss a tool somewhere in here. And it's very easy when you're working on cars, yeah, I know you shouldn't do it, but to leave something on the rocker cover, or leave something just sitting on the side step or under the car or something, or on a chassis rail or something, wherever it may be, drive off, falls out, tool's lost. So with a wall cab and shadow board, I find a lot easier just to quickly identify all the tools are back in their rightful place, as opposed to this, which is you have to remind yourself to pull all the drawers out. Still can be done, but I like the quick glance. Oh yeah, all the tools are back in place, and I'm going to lock up and head off. So depends on what you're doing in terms of recommendation. Should I get a wall cab? Should I get a roll cab? I would say it depends on the environment in which you're working. If you're a mechanic, this is really the only way to go. This roll cab is pretty much how I bought it. It's got additional stuff, and obviously it can come with all the stickers on it, but it's got additional stuff in it now. But with the exception of this side cabinet, it's an SP Tools side cabinet. It's not a Jimy Tools one. You can buy a Jimy Tools side cab for these things. This was just cheaper, so I bought that, and it fit on, no worries at all. Absolutely fine. Looks like it's supposed to be there. But it's pretty much, the rest of it is laid out pretty much how I got it, and I really like. There's not many tools in this that I've found superfluous, unlike my King Chrome wall cab. Looking back on that, looking back at this, pretty much everything in it I use. The only, I don't know if there's any exceptions in it. Oh, your double ring zero offset, I don't use them. There's a full set of them in it. I don't use them. Smaller spanners are of use to me. Those I don't really use a whole lot. But apart from that, pretty much everything's in some sort of rotation. Some things more than others. There's some limitations in it, for sure. You only get, that's the biggest shifter you get. I would prefer a set that had a bigger shifter. That's not a big enough shifter, so you're going to have to add a shifter to it for sure. It's only got one set of vice grips. I reckon you need more than that in a tool kit, so I've added them. Really good set of pliers. It comes with circular pliers, wire cutters, needle nose pliers. Really good set of pliers, and really good set of sockets. Really good set of sockets. Really good set of spanners. And when I say that, I mean the quality's been fine. I haven't broken anything yet. And that's one thing I should know. I've had this for 5 years, been in use for 5 years, haven't broken anything yet. Everything's still fine, still going strong. But one thing I do like is a good set of large size sockets. So that's a 32mm, that's the biggest one that comes with. And the spanners are the same. It goes up a 32mm spanner. One frustration I often have with toolkits, or I have had with the ones that I've bought in the past, is that the spanners finish too short. So you're going to buy individual spanners just to top off your set, or individual sockets just to top off your set. And I find that a bit frustrating because often there's crossover between a full set of bigger spanners. So you go, well, I don't want to buy those 3 spanners, which I don't need. I just need those 4, and the buying them individually is pretty much the same price as a full another set. In this case, the larger size sockets, larger size spanners are very much appreciated. Goes up to 1.25 inches in Imperial, so that's a good thing. Sockets, extensions. First set of tools I've ever bought that came from the reseller with a 1/4 inch ratchet. Now, I know that's not a big deal nowadays. Plenty of kits have a 1/4 inch ratchet, but all the kits I bought up until this point didn't have them. They'd have 1/4 inch sockets, but they'd have a 3/8 to 1/4 inch reducer in order to use them. And I hadn't really considered using a 1/4 inch drive ratchet and extensions and all that sort of thing up until buying this. Completely changed my life. I love my 1/4 inch ratchet and the sockets and extension. This would be the most used ratchet I own now. It was always, I just go grab the 1/2 inch. That was always what I do, regardless of size. If I had a socket big enough to go down or big enough for the nut or whatever I was undoing, I would grab the 1/2 inch. I only always grab the 1/4 now. I know that's not a big deal, but if I was doing a list of things in the workshop that have changed my life, the 1/4 inch ratchet would be one of them. Yeah, I probably should have got one long ago, but in any event, I have one now. So that was good. Really good sets of extensions, like really big extensions, which is a welcome addition. That's just how it comes. They come with all them in all sizes too, by the way. That's a 1/2 inch one, and you also got your 3/8 there, and you've got a really long 1/4 as well. So that's really good. Spark plug sockets, all your sockets, yep, pretty good. I'm actually quite impressed with that for sure. Open-ended spanners. Now this is where I was a little disappointed. The spanners are good, and when I did the review of my King Chrome set, I mentioned that I didn't like the spanners. They're rough. They've got a lip in the middle. They're not nice to hold. These have got, and I said, when I bought that King Chrome set, after that I got a pair of Sid Chrome ratcheting spanners, and they were a smooth, rounded mirror finish like these are. And I went, oh, these are so much nicer to hold. They're so much nicer to use. Kind of found it as a bit of a revelation at the time. These are pretty much the same. Look, that's not uncommon. It was just, it says more about the King Chrome spanners than it does about the Jimy Tools spanners. That's what you would expect in a quality spanner, I think, as kind of a base level. Says more about the King Chrome spanners that they weren't finished that way, more so than the fact that these are in the finish they are. But good set, really good sizing, as metrics go from 6mm all the way to 32. I really like that. But they pit. Man, these things pit. I've just not dunking them in water. This lives in the shed. It doesn't get wet. There's no leaks in the roof. And pit. If you've got a spanner that you haven't used for a while, you go back to it and it's got pitting. That is a real detractor, Jimy Tools. I don't know if it was a bad batch, if it's just this one, I don't know. But what I've taken the habit of doing now is I buff them all up with a bit of very, very light grade steel wool, buff them back to a mirror finish, and then I've taken as a habit of rubbing them down with a kind of a WD-40 type product every now and again to prevent that from happening. The box itself, down the back of it, there was some surface rust. I've taken to treating that as well. When you take the drawers out, there was surface rust at the back. Nothing cancerous, nothing that was in danger of eating right through, but there was surface rust on it. The inside is not nearly as finished as well as the outside. But I think I've dealt with that issue, but was a detractor from the experience of owning the toolkit, I will say that. But whether this was bought a while ago when Jimy Tools, Jimy Tools probably not the most well-known tool brand in Australia, probably, to be fair. But back when I bought it, certainly not. Whether it was some teething problems initially with the initial tools they brought in, or not, I don't know. But anyway, very nice to use. The pitting's a bit of a downside, but seem to have got on top of that now. There's been no pitting since I started rubbing them down. You know, I take all the drawers out every now and again and lubricate the slides as well. So that's allowed me to check on the inside if there's anything going bad. And since I treated it, there hasn't been any problems with that. The screwdrivers, Allen keys, you have ball and Allen keys in metric and imperial. They're good sets. No hammer, which was a bit weird. No hammer. But you know, I bought hammers to stick in there now, but no hammer, which was weird. The screwdrivers are fine. They are rubberized. They've got hard plastic and rubberized finish. They're probably the things I use most out of the toolkit. If it's not a shifter, it's a screwdriver. Not the best screwdriver. If I was gonna pick the best set of screwdrivers I own, the Torquemaster screwdrivers from King Chrome that are in my wall cab, they're the best set of screwdrivers that I own. They're better than these. These are okay. They're better than the old acetate yellow-handled Stanley ones that you'll see from time to time. Better than that, but the Torquemasters are better for sure. They're fine. Not a big enough set either. You know, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screwdrivers in there. Not enough really to cover all the screw sizes. Or it might be the head. The head might be not leave enough, not fine enough, and then you'd really like a medium head to really get some purchase on a smaller screw. I find they're a little bit, they could be better. I find that the screwdrivers could be better. That's a bit of a downside of the kit. They're fine. They're better than some screwdrivers that I have, and plenty of screwdrivers that I have owned. Better than the first set of screwdrivers I got in my Super Tool kit way back in the day. Way better than that. But they do leave a bit to be desired. A lot of the stuff in here I've added, but in terms of what it came with, everything on the top, in terms of all the sockets, extensions and all that sort of thing, open-ended spanners 6mm to 32, imperial open-ended spanners 1/4 to 1 1/4, screwdrivers, Allen keys, Torx keys, came with it standard, a set of ratchet spanners. The ratchet spanners, they're not a switch. They're just you got to turn it over to get forwards or backwards. They're fine. They're heavy, but they're fine. No angle on them. These will probably hold up better than the switch ones with an angle if you're doing really heavy work on them. But I do like the angle. I prefer my gear wrench spanners. I don't use these very often. If I'm going to grab a ratcheting spanner, I will generally grab my gear wrench ones over these. Just they're nicer to hold. These have got a very sharp edge. They're nicer to hold, and the switch I find better to use than having to turn the spanner over. But they're there. 1/4 to 1 inch, so they're not as big as the standard open-end spanners. They do finish smaller, and the same in metric as well, which goes 8mm to 21. You also get some flare nut spanners. They're good. That's a good addition. I use flare nut spanners all the time. That's a good addition. However, I don't know if you can see that. Different finishes. So I don't know what was going on there. This is kind of like a matte finish. When I saw that, I thought this was I thought it must have been incomplete or something, was expecting to fully rust out. That's a full mirror finish. Same set, different finish, bit of quality control there, missed potentially. So I don't know, that is what it is. There's your, the spanners I don't use, as I mentioned earlier. And you've got a set of stubby ratchets as well. Only in, I think they're metric only? Yeah, they're metric. Go to 18mm stubby, stubby ratcheting spanners. Now, that's fine. Like, I do use stubby ratcheting spanners. Not going to lie about that. But I would probably have preferred a non-ratcheting set of stubby spanners in both metric and imperial than a set of stubby ratcheting spanners. My personal opinion. Like, it's fine to have them, but I'd rather have a set of both. But having said that, if you bought this kit and that's all you got, the addition of an imperial ratcheting set, that might get you by. But sometimes I really want to put some real heave-ho on a stubby spanner,
and I would grab a non-ratcheting stubby spanner to do that, lest I chew the guts out of it. So that's pretty much what it came with. Then the ratchet, the roll cab itself. Note to Jimmy, a lot of your tool purchasers might appreciate your standard Jimy Tools stickers, the big ones, not these ones, the big ones you have here and on the bottom. I didn't like them. Skulls and flames is not my style. If it's yours, more power to you, that's great. But put them on as an option. Put them in the drawer that you can stick them on if you want to. I pulled them off as soon as I got it, and they were a bastard to get off too. Anyway, not a big issue, not a deal breaker for the tool cabinet, but leave the stickers as an option, Jimy Tools, I reckon. The quality of the roll cab, my first foray into roll cabs, as I said, a friend of mine's a diesel mechanic. He runs 2 snap-on roll cabs, and let's just get it out of the way first up. Obviously, this ain't a snap-on roll cab. It's not nearly up to that quality. But he's been very impressed with what I paid for the kit and the quality of roll cab. He said he would have expected a roll cab or a tool kit that what I paid for this, that the roll cab would be far more expensive than what I paid for the whole toolkit. And indeed, you know, I've rolled this around the floor. You know, I've stood on it. I'm not telling you to go stand on your roll cab, but I have, and it's held up great. You know, it's very, very solid. It carries a heap of weight. No structural issues as far as I can tell in 5 years, apart from the bit of surface rust down the back of it. Good roll cab. I've quite liked it. The downside with it is I found adding the side cabinet, so I have something to work on if I want to. That's been a really good addition. I really found that has made it a whole lot better to have another surface, and I filled it up in 2 seconds flat. You know, this thing is full, and the side cabinet's given me a bit of extra room, which I really did need, because this thing absolutely was chock-a-block full in no time flat. You've got, you know, wheel locks on one side of the cabinet, and one handle on this side, 2 on that side. That seems to be sufficient to me to wheel it around the workshop. Wheels are fine to roll on. They've got polyurethane on them, so they don't, you know, it's better than steel wheels on a concrete surface, so rolls fine. Locks up, a different lock to the top to the bottom box. That's a bit of a bummer. You'd rather have them keep the same. Anyway, and one thing is with a lot of top boxes is you've got to have it closed to lock it, which is fine, that's a good move, but you've got to have the top open to open the drawers. If you don't have the top open, you can't open the drawers. And that's a downside for me, because it's a reason that, you know, I'll go, oh, I can't be bothered locking it up, because, you know, it's not as simple as unlock, open the drawer, unlock, flip the top up, open the drawer. Not a big deal, I know, but it's just a pain in the ass to have to lift that up every time you want to open the drawer. Or even if you just want to keep the dust out of it, shut the drawer, and let's say you don't lock it, now you can't open your drawer. So you've got to open the lid up and then you can open your drawer. I know that's standard with a lot of top boxes, I get it, but, you know, I would prefer that not to be the case, but anyway, it is what it is. So, you know, all things considering, I found this good. Would I buy it again? That's a difficult question. And it's a difficult question because would I buy it again at what I paid for it? Absolutely. I paid about $1,400 for this. And $1,400, yeah, I'd buy it again, no problems. It was the end of a trade show, Jimy Tools Australia is selling it off. I bought it. Yeah, I'd pay that money again in a flipping heartbeat. Now, would I pay full retail for it? That's a trickier question. And it's a trickier question because it puts it in the realm of pretty much every other roll cab and top box for sale by any tool manufacturer in Australia. So that puts it up against like Sid Chrome or King Chrome or SP tools. Obviously, if you're buying snap-on tools, you're paying a much, much higher price point. But any of those medium tier tool suppliers with a lifetime warranty, you know, it puts it up against all of those. And the one wrinkle that I do have with this is I haven't made a warranty claim. So that's good. In 5 years of owning it, I haven't needed to make a warranty claim, so that's a big plus.
But the downside of that is what's it going to be like when I do make a warranty claim. There's no Jimy Tool reseller near me. I live in regional Australia. No one around here stocks Jimy Tools. I'm going to have to go to a metropolitan area or try and get a claim through Jimy Tools Australia. Now that may or may not be a problem. I can't say either way on that. But what I would say, having made warranty claims with other tool manufacturers in Australia, is that it's far easier to get a warranty claim processed if you have someone nearby you and someone that you deal with regularly. You can take the tool back and say, I need a warranty claim on this, as opposed to trying to do a warranty claim remotely. I've had a bit of difficulty with that. Not with Jimy Tools, so they might be better at it, but my experience is if you come around to a warranty claim and they're located remotely from you, that can be a bit of a pain in the butt. So, you know, at the price point, yes, I would, that I pay at retail price, and Jimy Tools have online, if you get on their website, they're almost perpetually on sale. So that might make some of their kits very competitive. Indeed, I did look on there a few months back, geez, it'd be 6 months ago now, when I was getting this side cabinet. It might be longer than that. But anyway, whenever I bought this side cabinet, they had one of these in orange. Evidently orange wasn't a real popular colour, for an absolute song of a price, absolute bargain. So for the money, if it was cheaper than another tool brand like SP or Sidchrome or something, yeah, I reckon I'd jump on it again. If it was exactly the same price for exactly the same content as a tool brand that I had a reseller for locally, that's what I would go with, just for the local support. And I like to shop local where I can. But you know, no problems with the quality of the tools, and the fact that I haven't broken one in 5 years, that says a bit for it. And it really is one of the biggest benefits of this toolkit that I've had, is that if you were setting up from scratch and you had a bit of money, you weren't trying to buy a $300 toolkit or something, you had a bit of money to spend, you had $2,000 to spend plus or minus, let's say, and you wanted to get something that was going to be able to let you work on most things on your car or in your workshop fixing stuff, probably more if you had an automotive kind of leaning. This is a really good base toolkit. The stuff in here, with a very few exceptions, I haven't found superfluous to what I would use. It would give you a really good base to start with, in my opinion, to build out your workshop. And that's a real credit to Jimy Tools for designing it in the way that they have. And there's been some really good additions to it, like the fact that it came standard with impact sockets and ratchet spanners. For the price, I actually thought that was quite compelling. So for what it is, that's a review, my 5-year review of the Jimy Tools GTS, I think it's 42-inch roll cab. So I hope that's been of benefit to you. If you are looking for Jimy Tools in Australia, Jimy Tools have their website, stick it in Google, you'll find them, and they do have resellers across Australia. And look forward to you tuning in on the next video I do. Thanks.